Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Deep Threats podcast. I am sorry for the intro today. I don't have much planned or prepped, I should say, for today. I will say, after watching all those games yesterday, it was a better week 2 than a week 1.
You very much so.
But as always, before we get into it, you have me, KJAM, the host of the show, and you have my wonderful co-host, Wheels.
What's up, guys? Hopefully you had a better week 2 in fantasy than I did, because I am 0-4 in my little money league, but I am 2-0 in my big money league, so I'm okay. I'm okay.
You want to hear something funny? So I was telling everybody about the pick'ems yesterday, and I made some good picks, right? Like, there's some picks that most people are like, oh my God, why would you pick that team?
What did I say? Nico Collins, though. I loved him.
Nico Collins is great. So Jacksonville screwed me over.
Yeah.
They really kind of busted that game. That game was in their hands almost the entire day. And Kansas City won it, which is kind of what was expected by most people, but I had Jacksonville in my head. And then on top of that, there was the Atlanta-Green Bay game. I called Atlanta, but I bet on Green Bay.
Did you?
I bet on Green Bay. I was so mad at myself because I called Atlanta, but I bet on Green Bay. The other team was Miami. No, wasn't Miami. There was another team I lost on in my bets. Oh, the Rams. I called the Rams to beat the 49ers.
I know we both like the Lions.
We both called the Lions, and I think that was it. I mean, we didn't see Seattle winning that game, but it's funny, historically speaking, Seattle should have won that game because I think last time they played was 48-45 last year. So it's kind of an incredible number. They had the highest scoring game of all year last year in total points.
Speaking about how games ended, did you see how the Rams-Niners game ended by any chance?
No.
So there was about 12 seconds left, and the Rams were kind of driving down the field, given they were down by 10 with no timeouts. Pass over the middle, get down about the 18-yard line.
So before you get there, I did see something, but I didn't understand it.
So
okay, so go ahead. Explain that to me.
Pass over the middle. They hurry up to the line. There might have been more than 10 seconds. I know there was 4 seconds left when they clocked it, when Matt Stafford spiked it. And they ended up kicking a field goal. You want to know what's funny? The Rams were getting 7 to 7.5, so they covered. Now, if that isn't the biggest call to Vegas I've ever seen in my life. Saying.
Well, so here's what I'll tell you. Here's what I'll tell you. No, here's what I'll tell you. There's a circumstance where you take the easiest point given, then you try to get the onside kick, because the onside kick is the next
with 4
option.
Seconds left.
Right. So, like, at that point, you're just trying to put points on the board.
I'd go for the touchdown. I mean, that's a dicey look for the NFL.
But I'm glad you brought up that game, because Puka Nacua is breaking records. Second week in the NFL as a rookie, and he is the most targeted player ever in the first 2 games of history.
I think he's second behind Justin Jefferson for receiving yards as well.
Might be. He might be. I know he's the most targeted.
Yeah,
I didn't look at the yards.
JJ has 309 yards. I believe Puka Nacua is second. Another crazy stat is Jordan Love is leading.
That's a fail on us, by the way. We didn't talk about Nacua at all.
Steve was the only guy that kind of harped on him a little bit. Another crazy stat is Jordan Love is leading the league in QBR at 118 and 6 passing touchdowns. So, I mean, it's early on. I'm not going to say that he's great, but they are essentially building the offense around him, and I love what that whole. There is no front office. I guess there's no GM or owner for that.
Yeah, I mean the fans are the owners. That's why they talk so much.
They built that team around Jordan Love, and in his. I mean, they're building it in his strengths. You're not gonna build in his weakness, and this is why I said they're not giving up on Jordan Love, because there's a reason they made some of these trades and some of these targets in the draft the last couple of years. I think they knew that Rodgers already had one foot out the door.
Here's what I will say. I called that game. That Matt Collins touchdown was a touchdown. That should have never been called not a touchdown.
No,
you could clearly see grass in between both his shoes, and that was a bad call. Now, I will say I've been harping on Matt Collins for a while. People need to go look at Matt Collins, because Drake London had a great game yesterday. You might not like it, but he did have a great game yesterday.
No, I liked it. The guy that I'm going to tell you right now to give up on, a lot of people aren't going to like to hear it, is Kyle Pitts. I mean, this guy has been given a lot. I mean, he had a good year with Matt Ryan, but he's never been back.
Hold on a second. So here's a few facts. I know Desmond Ridder, because based on what I was watching yesterday, Desmond Ridder was the most accurate quarterback since he's came in the league. On top of that, Desmond Ridder, I mean, I don't think he's lost a game outside of last year, which was they threw him in at the end of the season.
He hasn't lost the game as a starter.
Right, as a starter.
But yeah, he lost the game coming into the game.
Right.
Coming in for Mariota.
Right. So on top of that, like Desmond Ritter's quick.
Yeah, so
he's fast and mobile.
He's another guy that, he doesn't rely wholeheartedly on his feet like, Justin Fields does. But he's a guy that, when the opportunity arises, he's going to move.
And there's a reason why a lot of people like Desmond Ritter coming out of Cincinnati, because they said he was the most well-polished in coming out 2 years ago behind, or actually they had him ahead of Kenny Pickett.
Yeah,
but Kenny Pickett had been in the league for 5 years in the NCAA.
Yeah, mine was the opposite. So, Kenny was the number one. Desmond was the number two. I got crucified for my take in a lot of my football.
So speaking of that, so we went over the KC Jacksonville game. I mean, that game went kind of as expected.
A lot of these games kind of went as expected. You knew another game is the Ravens Baltimore. You knew that game was kind of go back and forth.
Well, I don't think a lot of people. So Baltimore, that game was taken from the Ravens, or was taken from Cincy. There was a bunch of bad calls that were made.
You mean the call?
There was a bunch of bad calls that were made, I had the Ravens winning that game.
I had Cincy winning it, but there was I think the one call you're talking about is the hands to the face.
Oh, the Odell ripping down the wide receiver.
And there was a Cincinnati Bengals hands to the face of a Raven, and he barely touched him. He was up.
Oh, that was the illegal hands to the face. Yeah, I mean, but see that one's more of a controversial one because it depends on the angle of the ref. The angle of that ref in that end zone that got that pass interference call.
Oh yeah, that one.
And it should have been on Odell, and it should have never been on the Cincinnati Bengals cornerback. That was a bad call.
And you know what that comes down to is
karma's a bitch, Odell. Sit out.
I know you hate to hear this, but I think what it's going to come down to is the name. I mean, there's a reason a lot of these.
I don't think it had anything to do with it. I think they did not want the Ravens to lose that game. I mean, I really don't.
I don't disagree with you. I think there was a lot of goofy calls this week in the NFL. All combined, there were some weird calls. The Ravens game definitely. I paid most attention to that game. And the Detroit Lion game, just because those were the two I had on my NFL Sunday Ticket. But other than that, or not NFL Sunday Ticket, NFL Red Zone that I was going back and forth to.
The local network.
But my biggest issue with the Cincinnati Bengals is Zach Taylor is not using Joe Mixon. You got to run. You can't rely on Joe Burrow with a calf injury that he has now re-aggravated and force him to throw almost 40 times a game. The problem is they're not believing in the run. And Joe Mixon, he can run. He's shown that over the last couple of years. The problem is Zach Taylor is not utilizing it. And I'm going to tell you, Zach Taylor is the fourth best head coach in this league. And I don't understand why.
I can't believe you, of all people, said that.
I don't understand why people.
Was it you that was saying it on the show, or was it Bo that was saying the only reason Zach Taylor looks good is because he's got Joe Burrow?
No, I agreed with Bo when he made that take. Zach Taylor is at the benefit of Joe Burrow. And there is no reason to believe that Zach Taylor is the reason this offense is the way it is. You have that much talent.
They only attempted to run the ball
16 times.
15, and one of those was Burrow. One of those was Burrow.
So you gave the ball. I guarantee.
Joe Mixon got the ball 13 times for 59 yards.
You can't do that.
Averaging 4.5 yards a carry.
Yeah. When you have your star quarterback have a quad injury, you have to take a little bit of the pressure off him. I know that O-line was kind of sinking in, and the defensive line was pressuring Joe Burrow, but you got to do something to take off.
Joe Mixon was 4 or 5 for receptions, and he had 36 yards.
Yeah.
So Joe Mixon almost had 100 all-purpose yards.
He didn't play bad. My issue is, again, they didn't utilize the run with him.
No, they forced the ball to Chase.
Yeah, that was I'm a Chase owner, and I watched that, and you can tell those were called plays.
Oh, that other
Chase.
Irv Smith makes that 20-yard catch down the field. Oh, it's a different game too.
But again,
Irv Smith actually got some touches yesterday. I was kind of happy about it.
What do we say always with Jamar? When he's always going to benefit other receivers on the team.
T was great.
But again, I've always been a T guy, and I love
But to be honest, T actually didn't, I don't think, benefited from Lamar. T caught a lot in double and triple coverage.
Yeah, he went over the middle. He took a couple hits.
He was 8 for 89 on 12 targets. So.
Yeah, that's the thing. T isn't
and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, T isn't a yak guy. T is a possession receiver. He's going to get those hard hits and catch the ball and get the yards. But he's not going to get heavy yards downfield. He's going to get you what you need, fall forward.
But all that aside, right?
Love about him.
We got to see Travion Williams a little bit. We got to see Chase Brown for one snap. It was good to see some of the rookies get their hands on the ball. Oh, my boy, Charlie Jones.
Kick
return for a touchdown.
I love that.
That was the best points on the board, or the first points for Cincinnati Bengals on the board.
What did we said? What was the team? We said an interception. I think it was Arizona.
Oh, we said Arizona's defense would be the first point scored on that team. And when I laughed. I laughed because they scored. Did they score 2? Or they scored 1?
I think they scored 1.
And it was the first 7.
It was,
I think it was the first 7 scored.
No. Dobbs ran it in for 7. That's what it was.
That was later.
Was it?
I think. I could be wrong.
Arizona's
defense was going off, though.
Yeah.
Like, Arizona's defense. Arizona keeps forgetting they're supposed to lose these games. So they ended up letting the New York Giants win.
Like Lovie Smith.
They literally let the Giants win that game. Come on. They were up by like 4 scores.
Yeah.
That was so funny.
Another game that
what was the final of that game, the Giants?
I don't know.
31-28. Like I think it was 24 unanswered points.
Another game that so I was a real fan of Eric Bieniemy going to Washington. I said that could change Washington to 2 to 3 wins.
They're hitting all these 4 o'clock games.
And we saw that. I watched a lot of 4 o'clock. We saw that in that defense late game. That defense took over late in the game. They stopped Russell Wilson and that offense.
Believe Sam Howell and Baker Mayfield are 2-0.
But what did I say about Bieniemy? He's going to build that offense around Sam Howell. He knows what Sam Howell can do. He's not going to ask him to do anything he's not able to. And that's exactly what this team is doing.
Well, let's knock these out. Let's try to do this in semi-order. I know we're already kind of out of order. So Indy and Houston, we didn't talk about that.
Zach Moss popped off. You called that.
I did. Yeah, you got to start Zach Moss in that game. Anthony Richardson out with a concussion.
Second week in a row. Or second week in a row with an injury.
Well, second week in a row with the injury. I think they might sit him next week. I hate to say it.
Who do they play? I don't know. But I would definitely...
Let Minshew just play a game.
Yeah, let Richardson take a rest, especially after a concussion this early in the game. We saw how some of those concussions affected some players like Tua, so you don't want to push him in too fast. And the NFL, I think, is going to take a bigger role into the concussion CTE role with a lot of these rookies coming out, because a lot of these guys like Tua almost retired. Denzel Ward's another guy that contemplated retirement in the offseason with the concussions he's had. So I think for the sake of the sport, I think they're going to change some things in this offseason for concussion protocol.
They play the Ravens.
So I would sit them. I don't disagree. Are you in Baltimore or are you in? Yeah, you're probably in Baltimore because they just played in Cincy.
Yeah, it's in Baltimore.
So yeah, but again, you want that matchup: Lamar versus Anthony.
Well, and
Richardson,
I think
both running quarterbacks.
I think they're tied for first in their division, right?
I think so.
I know it's so early in the season to be talking about stuff like that, but it's just one of those things. They are tied. They're 1-1 with Jacksonville. So I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can sit him.
I think it depends on how he reacts. I don't know if he's in concussion protocol. I would imagine so.
I'm not 100% sure if he's in concussion
protocol. I would imagine so. Going back-to-back weeks with injuries.
So the 2 things in that game, like you said, Zach Moss looked great. That was his first week back from a broken arm.
Popped off. Calvin Ridley did not. But you're going to have that with the way they run that offense.
Dude, Indy, Houston.
Oh, Indy, Houston.
You're all over the place.
You talked about Jacksonville in the division.
Well, I was saying the division.
Yeah,
you're all over the place.
Houston, Nico Collins looked great. We called that out.
You called that out, man. You were all... Did he get over 4 for receptions?
I think so. I think he got 6.
That'd be kind of... I'm curious about that.
I said over 4.5.
Because I'd be curious about that one.
I took him in a parlay, but it didn't hit in the same game.
So, Indy, Houston, stats. Houston, Nico, 7.
There you go.
7 for 146.
Yeah. Tank Dell, another guy who popped off for Houston. Rookie, I believe.
Yeah, my wife actually asked me yesterday. She goes, can I pull him from my taxi squad? And I said, I'd wait 1 more week. Yeah. It's still early. He needs to pass Robert Woods. And when he starts passing Robert Woods, I think you easily can just goes right up.
What did I say? I said this offseason, I said, don't be surprised by week 6, week 7 if they cut Robert Woods altogether. Because
they still got to get Mechie in there. Mechie's not in there at all.
You got Xavier Hutchinson, Nico Collins, Tank Dell. There's a lot of good young wide receivers.
Damian Pierce struggled, which we call that.
Yes, against that defense. You knew that was going to happen. It's a high-flying offense. You knew the pass was going to be, pass first. We called that.
I know your buddy asked me what he asked Pierce or Raheem Mostert, and I think we both said Pierce, but I don't know because they don't run Mostert, and then Mostert went off.
Yeah, I felt bad for that.
Mostert went off. I had Mostert on my bench.
Yeah. But the
strongly debatable. I mean, you could wait a week for Tank Dell, but you have very clean rosters. Yeah, so if you really wanted to move him to your roster, you could. But like I said, you got Mac Hollins, who you haven't even started. And I kind of like Mac Hollins' upside right now over Tank Dell just because of the utilization.
I wait for consistency with a lot of these rookies that aren't starting, like aren't wide receiver one, because, again, it can be a volatile thing like Swift. We saw that with Swift. Addison's had 2 decent games. Nothing hugely special.
Addison should be on your starting roster. Like, no, I'm not.
The only thing that hurts Addison is his receptions. He's getting touchdowns, but he's only getting targeted 4 to 5 times a game. But like we said, that'll increase over time. But he's getting
40 to 50 yards a game.
Yeah.
So, like, he's putting up, like, 11 points without even scoring a touchdown.
Because he's essentially wide receiver 3 with T.J. Hawkinson, J.J., and you have K.J. Osborne, and you have Addison. So, I mean, he's going to take over the targets and receptions from K.J. Osborne, who also had another good game.
Yeah, I mean, this was a very fun game to watch, this Houston Texans and Indianapolis Colts, because these are 2 young teams on the rise. So, I mean, I was happy with this. I actually also talked to a lot of people, and I don't know if many people remember me talking about Chig. Remember Chigosium?
Chigosium and Cockwell, yeah.
Yeah, what team's he on?
Tennessee.
Is he on Tennessee? Yeah, he might be on Tennessee.
Hold on, let me double check.
I think it might be Jelani Woods. There's 2 guys that I get confused all the time.
Jelani Woods is on the Colts.
Okay, so Jelani Woods.
I believe he's on the Colts.
Okay, so Jelani Woods.
Yeah, and Cockwell is on the Titans.
Okay, that's what I thought.
4 for 35.
So Will Mallory really kind of took over for Jelani Woods. Will Mallory got 2 receptions for 49 yards on 2 targets. That's the tight end out of Miami that Steve loved, out of the Hurricanes.
Oh, yeah.
Josh Downs, he's putting up numbers. Alec Pierce is a downfield guy, so it's one of those situations where, like, he's got to get the openings. Michael Pittman's still their number 1, so nothing's really changed there except for Josh Downs taking over the second wide receiver spot over Alec Pierce.
Dalton Schultz, he has definitely taken a step back from what he did last year.
On the Houston Texans,
That was to be determined with the acquisition of a rookie wide receiver or rookie quarterback and a couple of rookie wide receivers.
Plus, it's one of those situations where you just have so many mid-level wide receivers out on the field. Yeah. Dalton Schultz just becomes another mid-level wide receiver.
Do you think he regrets leaving
I don't even know if he made that much money. I don't know. I think Dallas might regret not having him.
I think he signed a decent deal with
He made a good amount of money. All right, let's move on from here. Obviously, Indy won that game over the Texans, so the Texans are now 0-2, which we kind of saw this coming this year. We knew the Texans were going to take time to even hit their stride. There was so much youth on that team.
Yeah, you got a
brand new head coach, brand new front office, brand new quarterback, brand new defensive line.
You know what this reminds me of? A couple years back is Detroit. Remember the first year with Dan Campbell?
With Jared Goff going there, and then Amon-Ra popped off, and that was the only thing good that happened.
And I think they had 3 or 4 wins. That's going to be similar to Houston. It's growing pains essentially. You have, like you said, it's just a young team altogether. So it's just getting in stride, feeding off each other's intensity in the locker room, on the field. It's all going to be. It's just consistency is key in the NFL.
All right, let's move on to the other team that let me down.
Detroit.
No, the Chargers. What the hell are you doing letting Tennessee win this game?
You know what? You want to hear something crazy?
You don't want to hear something crazy.
Detroit.
Joshua Kelly screwed us over.
Yeah, everybody was calling for him to pop off, and he just
couldn't do it by himself. Keenan Allen, what a day.
Yeah,
8 receptions and 2 touchdowns.
I think something's going to come out of this game. I think Brandon Staley his seat's getting a little bit hotter. It's getting warm. A little toasty.
I kind of agree. Hey, Treylon Burks, 3 for 76.
Yeah.
You were all over him. Chris Moore, he used to be on the Houston Texans.
Did D-Hop do anything?
D-Hop, 4 for 40, which he was supposed to be out, but he ended up playing 4 for 40.
So not
Chig,
good.
4 for 35. Ikine, 3 for 25.
Okay.
So they actually passed the ball a good amount. Derrick Henry always got his, 25 for 80 and a touchdown. And then I think he was in the pass game 3 passes, so he's actually caught more balls. Tajay, 8 for 49. Jesus. 6.13 yards per carry. I'm almost, Bo, don't watch this episode. Please turn it off right now. I'm almost thinking about watching or going after Tajay. I really am. I'm thinking about going after
Why not?
him. But Tannehill was almost perfect on the day. 20 for 24 and 246 and 1 touchdown and 0 interceptions.
Hey, Joe Blow, who's going to take us down? Because You're missing offensive pieces. Kenny Pickett looks lost.
Hey, we're not getting to that yet. Well, let's clean this up first. Let's move. Las Vegas, Buffalo. How you feeling about that game? How did anything that popped out to you?
I don't know if I think I took the Raiders in that game, honestly, because I didn't know how
you did
Josh
take the Raiders
Allen,
game, and I took
Josh
Buffalo
Allen,
in that game.
and I didn't know how Josh Allen was going to pop back, and he
popped back.
Yeah, he
almost perfect.
Yes, only 6 missed completions, no interceptions, 3 touchdowns.
This actually might be statistically his best game of his career.
Dak, we'll talk about that. We'll go there.
Gabe Davis was the number 1 receiver, though.
Mm-hmm.
Technically Stephon got targeted the same amount and caught 7 for 7, but didn't go for as many yards. James Cook popped off. Thank you, James Cook, for proving me wrong.
It took a little bit because
it did 7.24 yards per carry, but I think that was the only run game.
Matt Murray, sorry.
Yes, Latavius Murray got his touchdown, stole James Cook's touchdown.
And Damian Harris.
Damian Harris also stole James Cook's touchdown, which is funny because now that team looks balanced. That team looked balanced, and I think that's why they couldn't stop anything.
And like I said, you got to establish a run game with Josh Allen. You cannot run him that much over the last couple
Sorry, y'all, for telling you to start Jimmy G.
Yeah.
I like Jimmy G in this game, but the 2 interceptions was really frustrating.
That's just Jimmy G. He's going to have a game like that every once in a while.
Josh Jacobs, 9 for -2 yards?
Yeah, tell me I had him. Oh, God, it hurts so bad.
Oh, my goodness.
9.9 points in fantasy.
That's horrible.
Rough week for me.
It's all receptions. 5 for 51. That's horrible. Devontae got his. I told you. He would.
And he was evaluated for a concussion after the game, and there hasn't been any news on that.
I was going to say, I think he's fine from what I saw. Moving on, we're going to Green Bay, Atlanta. I called this game, to be honest, yesterday.
I took Green Bay, yeah.
It happened exactly as the way I thought it would. Both teams would struggle in this game. Atlanta did their best to stop any mistakes made. Jordan Love had a great day. I mean, the problem was they couldn't establish a run again.
Yeah, and we did say to sit A.J. Dillon, and he did not have a good. I think he had
15 for 55 at 3.5 yards per 3.6 yards per carry.
Yeah, I think and 1 reception for 8 yards.
I mean, but who else going to run the ball? They just could not make completions, and I don't know if it's 100% Jordan Love. Desmond Ridder had a little bit better of a day, 19 for 32, 237 yards, TD and interception. Yeah. But Bijan was the pop off of this day. Like Bijan had a day.
That's the reason. That's the reason. What do we say? You got to stop we said we got to stop the run against Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean,
you have to force the pass, and they clearly didn't do that.
Well, and even Desmond, 10 for 39. He rushed 10 times. So they ran the ball 45 times and threw it 32. So that's a 70-30 split. And you couldn't stop the run.
No, and you still have Tyler Algier.
Drake got his 7 targets, 6 receptions. Matt Collins, 6 targets, 3 receptions for 60. Technically, it should be 4 receptions for 63 yards and a touchdown. But
Kyle Pitts,
thank the NFL for that one.
15 yards.
Jonnu Smith's still in the league. Didn't know that. 4 for 47. I'm just kidding. Kyle Pitts did have a rough day. Jonnu Smith got more targets than him. But I did say, one more target. I mean, they threw the ball a ton, which was kind of shocking. So, I mean, but in the end, it all ends on a field goal, and they win the game 25-24 over the Green Bay Packers, and they brought those fans down to earth.
Let's go to the Buccaneers-Bears game. I think we both took the Bucs.
Yeah, because we did Cincy, Baltimore already. Chicago, Tampa Bay. I have to keep refreshing my screen just to get the
Chicago,
scores.
Tampa Bay.
27 Tampa Bay over Chicago, 17. We said this. We said that defense is tough. Tampa Bay's defense is tough.
They're not getting the credit they should. And again, Baker Mayfield's playing the way he should be, playing not to lose.
Yeah, I mean, Baker actually had a stat line like no other. 26 for 34, 317 yards and a TD. 0 interceptions, and he also ran the ball. Rachaad White had a great day.
Yep.
Not normal for him. 17 for 73. They kept Sean Tucker out this day. They did 8 carries for 7 yards, but I think they were all like...
Chase Edmonds is injured. He's due to miss 4 to 6 week. Mild. MCL sprain, I believe.
Okay.
So Sean Tucker will be taking over his, I believe, carries.
Which a lot of people didn't know Chase was on that team, but I kept calling it like, Chase was kind of a sleeper coming in this season because
I mean, Sean Tucker, he was an undrafted free agent. I think he's going to get his touches. Rashad White is clearly the clear-cut number one, I would have to say. After
I don't know. I still think they split between Rashad White and Sean Tucker.
Mike Evans seems to be getting closer and closer to his 1,000-yard season once again. I hope he hits it with Baker.
I told you. Did I not tell you? Did I not tell you that Baker? It's no problem. There's no issue with Baker.
I've drafted Baker in a couple, or not Baker. I drafted Mike Evans in a couple my big money league, and I was kind of laughed at.
Man, did Mike Evans go off? Did Mike Evans go off, man?
Weeks too, I believe.
No, I don't. I think he had like 100.
666 and a touchdown last.
That's what it was. Okay, so he got 171. He made up for that extra 40 yards he missed last week.
Chicago's defense is bottom of the league.
Which is reason why I said Green Bay simmered down. That defense is not that good.
They weren't wrong. I don't disagree.
And they're struggling on offense. I mean, to be honest, Roshan carried 4 for 32. That's 8 yards a carry. They should just let Roshan run the offense. I mean, Khalil Herbert 7 for 35, 5 yards a carry. Why are they not running the ball?
I'll be honest. I have no idea. I think
that Bucs front is pretty good though.
There was a couple plays that I watched with Justin Fields where I don't think he was seeing the field.
It also feels a little one-sided. DJ Moore 104 yards, nobody over 40. 38, 36, 23, 10.
Broken coverage.
I mean, it's just DJ's pretty good after the catch. That's probably what he excels at.
Well, there was one big play he had 48 yards. It was a broken coverage play.
Okay, so and then moving into the other game that we were wrong on for the day. Well, you were right. I think you called Seattle to win this game.
No, I took the Lions. I think you took Seattle.
Did I? I might have to go back and watch. I might have to go back and watch because I don't remember.
I said Detroit because I had my Allen-Ra jersey on.
So Seattle won this game 37-31 over Detroit. Last time they played was 48-45, I think. Yeah, we probably should have called the over on this game. We were talking about this a little bit.
This game was on the defense, I would have to say. Jared Goff played very well. 323 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception.
Geno Smith did the same thing. 328 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
David Montgomery bruised thigh. He's probably going to be out a week or so, I would have to think. He led the team in rushing.
Yeah.
Which was pretty crazy to see after the way Jahmyr Gibbs ran.
But all you Jahmyr fans out there, here we go, Jahmyr. Here we go. About time Jahmyr's going to get some touches. Joe Burrow's calf injury due to Captain Morgan posting on a huge pile of money. Oh, that is funny. I did not even think of that. He also might be out next week. Just an FYI for you guys. Joe Burrow is. They're playing a non-divisional game next week, and there's talks that he might be sitting out next week already. So I really think he should have sat out the first 2 weeks.
I would have sat him against the Browns.
I would have leaned on your run game. I'd have leaned on your checkdowns.
But they're not doing that.
They're not doing it. Yep. So I don't.
Amon-Ra, another good week. 6 receptions, 102 yards, 17 average. Josh Reynolds, second, 5 for 66, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, Amon-Ra is consistent. Kenneth Walker,
Laporta,
great day.
Laporta, solid week. 5 receptions for 63 yards. It's not awful.
No, that's actually better than I expected, to be honest with you.
Jahmyr Gibbs, 7 receptions for 39 yards.
You can probably start, if you have a dynasty and you have a taxi squad and Jahmyr or Laporta are on your taxi squad, you could probably move both those guys to your roster at this point, just because of the target shares. Both these guys are going to make their way to the field, and they're going to make it sooner than later. And Jameson Williams might be held out of getting targets, and it might take 8 weeks for Jameson Williams to come back. So I see Sam Laporta being a high asset in this offense.
We turn to Seattle. Geno Smith, 328 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I called that.
32 for 41. Kenneth Walker didn't have a great average day. He had 17 carries for 43 yards, only 2.5 yards per carry, but he did have the 2 touchdowns, so that saved him.
They fed him on the goal line, and Charbonnet was everywhere else, but it wasn't much.
Charbonnet had 4 carries for 16 yards. Geno Smith, 3 for 20, and DJ Dallas, 1 for 3. DK Metcalf.
Don't even do that. So obviously DK was a leading receiver, 75 yards. Moving on down that list, he hit 10 guys. 10 guys. That is astounding because most people couldn't name 10 people on that offense.
No, I don't even know who.
So Colby Parkinson was the tight end that showed up. They also have Noah Fant and Will Dissly. I can't believe they're targeting 3 tight ends.
Joe Bobo.
Yeah, Joe Bobo. or Jake Bobo. Bo picked him up in our dynasty and then dropped him. Kenneth Walker III also had a reception. So Charbonnet, by the way, I think he got this fly is pissing me off. It's only around me.
Zach Charbonnet, he doesn't.
Ha! I won.
He isn't taking over the role that everybody expected him to.
Well,
Kenneth Walker is kind of holding on to it.
Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. So if you watched the league last year, you had Rashard Penny, who got injured in the first 4 weeks. Kenneth Walker was out with a hernia in the first 4 weeks, a sports hernia, and then he came in, and that was Kenneth Walker's role from there on out, and Rashard Penny never came back for the rest of the year. Kenneth Walker has this position. The only reason they drafted McIntosh and Charbonnet was just in case Kenneth Walker went down or in case Walker needed a breather. Yeah, and essentially what is happening is Walker needs a breather, Charbonnet goes in.
Yep.
And Geno's controlling that offense, and it's very up-tempo. The fact that Geno threw the ball 41 times, that's less opportunity for Charbonnet. Way less opportunity. So you're only holding on to Charbonnet at this point as a handcuff or an injury.
Yeah, I want to move him off your taxi squad at all. Do you move Jackson Smith and Jigba off your taxi squad?
Yes. Based on the targets he's getting, and he's a possession guy. We said this from the start. Like you're not looking for a touchdown for JSN.
No.
So if you need a guy in the flex that's going to give you 12 points, that's probably JSN. He's probably going to get you 5 to 6 receptions for 60 yards or 55 yards or something like that. 10 to 12 points.
Yeah. Do you want to go over Niners Rams or?
Yeah, we'll do the 4 o'clock games. Let's go. Yeah. Let's go Niners Arizona. Is it Rams? Oh yeah, LA Rams. You're right.
This was the game that had that stupid field goal at the end. The spread.
So San Francisco won this game. I picked the Rams to win this game. I bet against my best judgment.
Look at the score in that game, and Brock Purdy did not throw a touchdown.
No, Brock Purdy was 17 for 25, 206, and
but
people
he ran for a touchdown.
But people need to understand that he didn't turn the ball over.
No,
and that's kind of what Brock Purdy is excelling at, as being a game manager. The Rams' defense is good. They are. But the 49ers defense was better in that game.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the problem. Because I don't think Ayuk really had a good day.
No.
And didn't he get injured?
Ayuk is injured, yeah.
Ayuk's injured now. Debo had a great day, which you were knocking Debo.
Yeah, I did not like Debo in this game.
But again, didn't score a touchdown, so he only got like 12 points. And that's right. He's got 14 points. I forgot the 5 carries thing. CMC, great day. Actually, he started the day great, which scared the hell out of me. Because he started with like a 40-yard run, and I was like,
touchdown.
So in fantasy, I think I don't want to say I won the game. Because I did win the game because he had the New England Patriots wide receiver. So I did win the game. It was like 165 to like 149. Thank you, the 49, or thank you, Dallas's defense again. We can get into that game too. So outside of that, I mean, Kittle's not the guy right now.
No. Just. There's a lot of targets, and Brock Purdy is spreading it around. He's not locking in.
Well, he's only throwing the ball 25 times a game, roughly.
That's a run-first team. I mean, McCaffrey had 20 carries.
And if you're going to give Ayuk 6 targets, Debo 6 to 8 targets, and then you're going to give Christian McCaffrey probably 4 to 6 targets, you're probably looking at maybe 5 targets heading to Kittle's way, and it's just not looking good right now. So I don't know if I would start Kittle over the next few weeks until somebody gets injured like Ayuk. Oh, wait, you can start Kittle next week. I lied.
Matt Stafford.
Ayuk's injured.
34 for 55, 307, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Kyron Williams was this team's offense. And Puka Nacua. 14 for 52 and a rushing touchdown.
Puka Nacua, man. 15 receptions.
147
20
yards.
targets. Dude, that is JJ targets. 20 targets in a game?
Yeah.
That is insane. There's 107. There's 17 games here.
And then
you get 20 targets in a game, you're looking at 200 plus targets possible on the year.
Yep, and then you had Tutu Atwell, 7 for 77. Williams, 6 receptions, 48 yards, and a receiving touchdown. I think he had 24.
Talk about a wide receiving core stepping up with Cooper Kupp down. What would happen if Cooper Kupp was in this offense?
Well, Puka's going to be the number 2 now. He's shown that he can take over.
Tutu's your number 3, and Tutu's been playing very well.
Yeah, and Van Jefferson is another. Van's
off the roster. Skronik's doing better than Van. Yeah. So Van's off the roster. Ben Skoranic's probably going to have a hard time getting a roster spot. They're going to have Tyler Higbee.
They both only had 1 reception each in this game.
Yeah, Jefferson got targeted 4 times, which is, by the way, the issue with Van Jefferson, and I thought they fixed it. That's why I picked him up.
Hands.
Apparently, they didn't fix this issue. So they went to Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell. So that's on
Nacua has showed that he's doing what Tutu and Van Jefferson and Skorancic has not been able to do in the absence of Cooper Kupp, is be the guy and eventually be the number 2 when Kupp comes back.
All right, let's talk about the worst team in the NFL, right behind the Houston Texans.
Cardinals.
The only reason they weren't the other worst team.
Oh, the Giants?
No, one more.
The Jets?
There they are.
The Jets, Jets. Oh, I'm
so
sorry.
Zach Wilson, if I were him, I'd fake injury next game. I mean, you're better off with Breece Hall throwing the ball.
Yeah, 27 times. Well, yeah, they only ran the ball 4 times with Breece Hall.
Yeah, it was bad, by the way. I have Breece Hall in the league, and it was like 0.9 points.
Nathaniel Hackett is a moron for not running the ball with Zach Wilson.
Now, hold on. I don't think this is Nathaniel Hackett. I think this is a Robert Saleh situation. I think what he did is he said, front office don't want to pay a quarterback with Aaron Rodgers out. Let's show them what happens when you just lean on Zach Wilson. So they leaned on Zach Wilson, throw the ball 27 times, 170 yards, and 3 interceptions and 1 touchdown. And I think it was Garrett Wilson, right?
Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson got the touchdown on 2 receptions for 83 yards. All of you guys out there were probably scared Garrett Wilson wasn't get his, but he got his, and it was ridiculous.
Yeah, 12 for 27, 170, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. That is an awful line. 3 interceptions on 27.
Conklin was the only one that caught most of his targets. So I'm going to be honest, they didn't even run the ball 20 times, which is kind of dangerous. But to be honest, they didn't have the ball to run it because someone was turning it over every time they got the ball. So Dallas's defense went off. And this is the reason I start Dallas's defense week in and week out.
Dak started 12 for 12, highest of his career in the NFL.
He's 31 for 38 on the day for 255, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I'm proud of Dak. He hasn't thrown an interception this year.
Look at Tony Pollard.
Look at him go.
Tony Pollard, 25.
Oh, that's why Dak hasn't thrown an interception. Rico Dowdle got touches again. Deuce Vaughn got touches again. Dak ran the ball 6 times. Kevontae Turpin, I have no idea who that is. Peyton Hendershot. Then everybody ran the ball in that offense.
Him for 0 yards.
CD got targeted 13 times, 11 receptions, 143 yards.
7.
And their tight end got the touchdown to snake it from everybody else. Yeah, Ferguson. Ferguson's the guy that stepped up when
he was good at blocking
Schultz
too.
left. Yep. It's actually the same situation with Miami too, with their tight end. Apparently, they just take their blocking tight end and said, "Hey, we're only going to target you 3 times, so just catch them." That's pretty much it. Micah had a great day on the defense. I watched that game, and so did Trayvon Diggs.
Did you see what Micah said to Sauce about dropping the interception? He's like, "Hey, you got to catch that, man."
I didn't want to say that too, by the way. The only reason that Green Bay lost that game is because their D-backs don't know how to catch.
Green Bay? Oh, yeah.
Desmond Ridder threw 2 balls right to D-backs' hands, and they literally, in their hands,
plopped right out.
Dropped it. But so did Atlanta's D-back, too. It was pretty funny. You could tell D-back. That's why D-backs aren't receivers.
No, they're D-backs are receivers that run fast that can't catch.
Pretty much. So, Anthony Schwartz?
He's just I don't think he can cover.
I don't think he can cover either. But
I don't know if Anthony Schwartz can cover me.
But he's so fast. Yeah, just turn left and then Schwartz is gone.
Go back to track, Anthony Schwartz.
Last game of the night, right, was the Miami Dolphins at the Patriots.
Yes.
I called this. I think you had New England winning this game.
I had New England winning this game.
And I had Miami winning this game. But
Did you see the blocked punt?
I did say that they would hold Tyreek Hill under 120 yards.
Yeah.
And they held him to under 50.
Then Raheem Mostert popped off. Jalen Waddle injured, concussion.
Yeah, that's actually huge.
He is now, I believe, in concussion protocol as well.
Yeah. So I see Craycraft stepping up. Braxton Berrios will also step up, probably supplement those targets moving forward. Right. It looks like Ashane's back. So Ashane did get 1 reception. He also ran the ball 1 time for 5 yards. So if you guys are Ashane owners, maybe pay attention to them next week and see what happens there. And see if he takes over the number 2 spot. Raheem Mostert, you already said, had a ridiculous day. Might have been the best running back day for all running backs.
Oh, yeah, 2 touchdowns, 121 rushing yards, 18 carries, and he had one reception for 6 yards. Yep. So it was all on the ground for Raheem Mostert. But we did say that he is not a receiving back.
Yeah, well, they also don't use they have wide receivers. They have wide receivers. And Durham Smythe did 3 for 23.
That's not a terrible day. I mean, 5.3 is not awful. I mean, he's gaining momentum.
He's like a tier 3 tight end. So if you need a guy to give you at least 5 or 6 points in the tight end position, Durham Smythe's probably going to be consistently right there.
And guess what? That'll matter in a 14-man league.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. You got tight ends going out every day with 0 points.
5 points might not matter in your 10-man, but a 14-man.
Even a 12-man. Depending on how deep your dynasties are, like some people are holding 3 tight ends that all score.
Yeah, my big money league is a 12-man.
Yeah. So, well, getting out of the yesterday stuff, because that's about what happened yesterday. Let's get into today. The first game of the day, I think, is at 7:15. At Eastern time, and it is the New Orleans Saints against Carolina Panthers in Carolina. I don't know what to say about this game, just that I hope to God that the Saints look better than they did last week.
Bryce Young might not be able to see over the O-line. I had to say it, I'm sorry.
I mean, Bryce Young is... So what do you see for Bryce today? Because that is a good defense.
So Bryce, I see 18 for 29, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions.
Okay. Probably run the ball 5 times for like 30 yards or something like that. Okay, I can see that. Who's his targets?
His targets will be, I think, Terrence Marshall.
DJ Chark's out.
DJ Chark, yep, I saw that. I think
Adam Thielen's in, right?
Yes, I think Terrence Marshall leads the team with 6 receptions for 53 yards and a
missing somebody
and a touchdown.
Thielen, Marshall.
They drafted somebody, didn't they? Yeah.
Drafted, Mingo.
Mingo. Yeah.
Mingo. Yeah, but Mingo didn't get much last week.
No. I think Terrace Marshall gets a touchdown.
So I guess it's Chuba
Hubbard.
Chuba and who's the number
Miles
one?
Sanders.
Oh, it could be a Miles Chuba day. Could be a Miles Chuba day. Somebody won't trade.
You have to establish the run against this D-line. If you establish the run against this D-line, you can control the game most of the time.
Okay, I can see that. So the only way for the Carolina Panthers to win this game is to control time of possession, minimize turnovers,
which I don't think they're going to do.
And Miles Sanders has to run for 125 yards.
I would say they have to run for 125 yards in general.
Okay, so as a team.
Which it should be easy. I would hope.
As a team, that should be easy.
Yeah, I just don't know if they
But I'm saying Miles Sanders has to run for 125. Yeah. Or I'll say Miles Sanders has to have 125 all-purpose yards. Would that be running or receiving? I
like that better.
Okay.
I can see that more.
The Saints.
So Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr throws for 32 times, 24 receptions, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. I think he has a good day. I think Chris Olave has 2 touchdowns, 8 receptions, 86 yards. I think Michael Thomas is right behind him with 6 for 56 and a touchdown.
Okay. What about Shaheed?
Rashid Shaheed, I think he leads the team in receiving yards tonight. I think he has 100 yards. Carolina.
So you're seeing Derek Carr throwing for 350 yards.
Yeah. Well, I think I said 350.
Okay. That's a lot of yards.
That Carolina's defense is bad.
Taysom Hill involved?
No.
Okay, no Taysom.
I don't see it.
Juwan Johnson involved?
Juwan Johnson, he's the second tight end.
Jimmy Graham involved?
I think it's a heavy wide receiver game. And then I think it's feed Jamal Williams on the line. I think Jamal Williams has 1 touchdown, like 56 yards.
Okay. So you have the Saints winning this game. 27.
4 touchdowns.
So 28 to
1. Or no, 2 touchdowns, I think I called.
So 14? 28 to 14?
Yeah. So 10.
I got the Saints winning this game. I don't know. They didn't look good. They did not look good last week.
I think.
Derek Carr looked very uncomfortable behind that O-line, and I don't know why.
That O-line is not bad.
No, it's not.
I would say it's a top 15 line. What'd you
do? I'd put it up there. I don't know. It didn't look good last week, but I can probably lean on that. But my only issue is I see that Saints defense is very good.
That's why I say you got to establish the run early to control that game.
I think Bryce Young's going to have to throw for over 250 yards to win this game.
And not interceptions. That's why I say I think.
Yeah, you got to minimize turnovers. I think you definitely got to minimize turnovers. I got Saints winning this game. I'll stick right there with you, but I'm gonna go 31-20.
Okay.
I just have I gotta give Carolina can score, and the coaching is good enough to help them score. You got to minimize turnovers.
100%.
So, that's about it today for them. Let's move on to the game of the week.
Yeah, Pittsburgh versus the Cleveland Browns at Pittsburgh.
The Cleveland Browns at Pittsburgh. So how are we feeling about that?
So let's start with Pittsburgh.
And let's not try to be too biased here. Because none of us are Browns fans. So let's not try to be biased.
Kenny Pickett is going to struggle against this D-line. They are going to stop the run and Najee and force Kenny to throw. Kenny's going to have 2 interceptions. He'll have a touchdown. But I don't think he throws more than 30 times. But they're going to force him to throw because they're gonna stop the run. So the keys of the game for the Browns is stop the run, maximize on turnovers, and get a run game going for themselves, which I think they definitely can with some of the injuries that the Steelers have on that D-line. And Joey Porter isn't looking like Joey Porter in college. I know it's only 1 game, so it's going to take a couple games for some of these rookies to step into their own shoes.
So I hate to say this, and anybody that wants to know my actual predisposition on the score. And I said this before these receivers went down on the Patriots, or at all teams.
I say 28.
I said it before Amari went down, before Deontay went down, and now they might not have Pickens.
I say 28-10.
I had it 38-13.
Okay.
And I know a lot of people are like, wow. Now, I did have Amari in that game. But
there's conflicting reports coming out that is not true, that he will play tonight.
I think Amari will play limited snaps if they go up by 2 to 3 scores. Amari's sitting on that sideline.
I have a question to ask you. I have Michael Thomas and Jamal Williams, and then I have Amari on my bench. Do I start Amari over Jamal Williams?
Are you winning?
No. I don't have a chance. I don't have a chance to win.
Oh, if you don't have a chance to win, I'd start Amari.
Okay.
If you don't have a chance, like if it's 30 to 40 points, is it like
I'm down by 60?
Oh yeah, start Amari. Start Amari because worst case scenario, Amari's out and you get 0. Yeah. Best case scenario, Amari's in and you get 40. Worst case, if you play the safe bet, Jamal Williams top maybe 20.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Let me see. I think I literally need 60 to win.
Yeah. So I mean, best case scenario, Amari Cooper could have a day for you. So we all know that. I will say I like Elijah Moore better than Amari Cooper today, because
I'm sorry. I need 70.
Oh yeah, I start Amari. just start Amari just to see it. I like Elijah Moore better than Amari Cooper. I also like Njoku today, mainly because the Steelers are they're struggling defensively. They're really struggling. And then they also lost their defensive end in Cam Hayward. He's out for 8 weeks. They still have Highsmith and they still have T.J. Watt. Obviously,
they're missing Deontay. I don't know if you said that. They're missing
Deontay Johnson, and they're. I don't know what's going on with Pickens, but I just saw a report that Pickens might not be in the game, and I don't know how true that is. And if that's the case, it's going to be very hard for Najee to run all over this D line. For the Steelers to win this game, they have to establish a run. And I don't know if they have the run game to establish a run. But if they do, they need to do it out of the backfield.
He re-aggravated a hamstring injury from what I'm saying.
Yeah, that was the recent report that I saw, that Pickens probably won't be in this game. And if that's the case, and to be honest, even if he's going up against our corners, he might get injured. So that might not be a good situation to play him in this game.
So let me see. For Pickett, I have him throwing 30 times because they're going to force him to throw.
Najee's going to force him to throw. Because if Najee can't establish a run,
stop the run.
And what's the Jalen Warren? Jalen Warren, the other kid? If Jalen Warren and Najee cannot establish a run,
I don't think they do. I think that defensive line stops them.
This might be a day where now if Jalen Warren actually does establish somewhat of a run today,
he might take over.
He might take over a snap percentage for Najee. And I know a lot of people are like, they drafted Najee in the first round. I get it. But Najee's coming up on a contract year, and at this point, I don't think Najee's getting paid. And if he's getting paid, it's 3 years for $9.9 million or $10 million to the average running back salary last year when they signed. It was like $3.3 million per running back. It was pretty funny. That's the only thing I see Najee doing. To be honest, like if the Steelers win this game, it's because the Browns turned the ball over and Deshaun Watson did not have a good day. Straight up. If Deshaun Watson plays like he did last week, Steelers can win this game.
I think Deshaun Watson steps back into his...
It's supposed to rain too, I think.
Is it?
I think it's supposed to rain. So that's another situation. You need to put the ball on the ground. You need to put the ball in Chubb's hands. You need to put the ball...
Rain.
Yeah.
So it's a run first.
You need to put the ball in Chubb's hands. You need to put the ball in Jerome Ford's hands. You need to use Elijah Moore underneath. You need to use utilize Njoku. He's got better hands than most people.
I saw a report. Njoku has a jugs machine at home. The dude does not stop. Per reports, he has a jugs machine.
He looks like Myles
home.
Garrett as a tight end.
I mean, he does.
He's ridiculous looking.
And the biggest thing with him when we first drafted him is his hands.
And he doesn't block.
Yeah.
Doesn't block.
But he worked on the hands thing.
So
blocking's a lot harder to teach than catching.
I mean, as a tight end, that's your number one job is the block. Second job is to catch the ball.
I don't think in the new NFL it is.
FNL? Are you buying a gun? All right, that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I've got no takeaways today. Just going to tell you guys, go Brownies, and I'm going to watch this game. What about you, Wheels?
Same. I don't have any really takeaways. If I liked any, so out of the Browns-Steelers first score, I would go with a Nick Chubb touchdown.
I'd go field goal.
Field goal. Well, first touchdown.
It's just super.
Touchdown.
Yeah,
first touchdown is Nick Chubb.
I'd say first score would be a field goal. I don't know who would get it, though. I don't like to make those first score bets, but I can tell you probably who's going to get the touchdowns. I'd probably put one on Chubb, one on Njoku. I'd probably put one on Najee just because they're going to force it into the red zone and they're going to try to push him through there. I would also probably put one on Deshaun Watson. And then I'd probably put another one on Njoku.
Okay.
That's just me. I really do have a high-scoring game for the Browns and a low-scoring game.
I don't disagree.
And a low-scoring game for the Steelers. You could take me for what it's worth. 38-13 is a lot.
I mean,
you don't usually see one-sided games that much because usually at like 3 scores up.
Especially prime time.
Well, usually at 3 scores up, you're pulling players.
You're pulling a lot of guys.
Starters. Speaking of prime time, first time since 91. So the Steelers have not lost on a Monday Night Football since 91.
First time in 30 years that the Browns are favored.
It was 93. It was 30 years, right?
In Pittsburgh. And
it's the first time, I think, in 20 years since we would beat them at home.
Yeah, 03.
Yeah, so...
I was 9.
And it's also, I think, the first time for the Browns to go 2-0 since, 2 decades. So let's just put it this way. Let's hope to God that the Browns break some records tonight, baby.
It would be
Let's hope. All right. You guys have a wonderful day.
Records are made for breaking.
Peace out.
Later.